People think they've seen the most beautiful mountains on Earth. But then, there comes a moment that makes them question everything. Because in China, there are places not marked on any map. Places that locals speak of only in legends. These are lands without official names, described only through feeling, where peaks rise through the clouds like sentinels, where lights flicker in the midnight fog, and whispers echo from bottomless stone crevices, like the breath of forgotten spirits. From the icebound guardians of Mount Siguniang to the Zhongnan Valley, where the fog is so thick even time slows down. From the stone city of Yadan, where desert winds howl among godlike statues lost in eternity, to Guanyin Cave, a narrow fracture plunging deep into the earth, a door to a sacred realm no one dares to name. These aren't destinations. They're trials of intuition. Places where your imagination is stretched to its edge and still falls short of understanding. Welcome to 50 mountain ranges so surreal you won't believe they exist. China, Part 1. A journey unlike anything ever told. Here, every peak is a truth too beautiful to believe. And at every stop, you'll meet something beyond logic. Nature, memory, and the sacred. About 137 miles from Chengdu, hidden among the billowing white clouds of the Sichuan Plateau, Mount Siguniang rises like a fossilized legend. 4 snow-capped peaks, soaring between 1735-65 and 20,505 feet high, pierce the sky like icy arrows. At the highest point stands Yaomei Feng, known as the youngest sister, often called the final fairy of the earth and sky. Aloof, majestic, and wrapped in absolute silence, as if sleepwalking through a dream that has lasted for millennia. When spring returns, the mountain slopes awaken, blanketed in wildflowers of violet, gold, and white that stretch toward the horizon. In summer, crystal-clear streams wind through rocks. Birds chirp through whispering pine forests. The entire landscape seems to hum with an ancient melody. By autumn, the 19-mile-long Changping Valley transforms into a vibrant ribbon where scarlet maple leaves fall like flames beneath golden skies. Then winter arrives and all sound fades, replaced by the hush of pure white snow, covering every ridge and forest, turning the entire Siguniang Range into a surreal painting where time seems to stand still. To the Tibetan and Chang people, this is not merely a mountain. It is sacred ground where spirits reside. Legend says that 4 young women turned into these peaks to protect their village from invaders. At the base of the range, more than 10 small temples still stand, places where locals offer prayers and wishes for peace. At night, when campfires flicker through the mist, some say they've heard the wind howling through the ravines, carrying whispers not of this world, as if the 4 sisters still stand guard over the forest, the dreams and the secrets never spoken aloud. Roughly 220 kilometers from Chengdu, hidden among the white clouds of the Sichuan Plateau, Mount Siguniang emerges like a legend turned to stone. Its 4 snow-capped peaks, rising between 17,565 and 20,505 feet, pierce the heavens like frozen arrows. The tallest, Yaomei, is known as the youngest sister, a celestial maiden of unmatched grace, cold, proud, and eternally silent, as if drifting in a dream that has lasted 1,000 years. When spring arrives, the mountains awaken in a blaze of color. Carpets of wildflowers in purple, yellow, and white stretch endlessly across the slopes. In summer, crystal clear streams weave through rocks, and the air is filled with birdsong and the hush of pine forests. A forgotten symphony whispered by the land itself. By autumn, the 30-kilometer-long Changping Valley transforms into a ribbon of fire, as red maple leaves fall like embers through golden light. And in winter, all sound fades. The world turns to stillness, cloaked in pure snow, turning Siguniang into a surreal painting suspended in time. To the Tibetan and Chang peoples, these are not merely mountains. They are sacred guardians of the soul. Legend tells of 4 sisters who transformed into peaks to protect their village from invaders. At the foot of the range, over a dozen small temples remain, where locals still offer prayers and whisper hopes for peace. At night, when campfires flicker through the mist, some say they've heard wind rushing through the stone, carrying voices not of this world, as if the 4 sisters still watch over the deep forest, over dreams, and over all that remains unspoken. straddling the border between Tibet and Yunnan. The Meili Snow Mountains rise like a whisper from the other side of the world. Over 20 snow-cloaked peaks form a fortress of ice. The most sacred and imposing being, Kawagibo, towering at 22,113 feet. The holiest mountain in the Chinese Himalayas, and one whose summit has never been reached. To the Tibetan people, Kawagibo is not a mountain to conquer, but a throne of the gods, never to be touched. Expedition teams have vanished attempting the ascent, leaving only silence and the old warning echoed in legend. Those who try to rise above the gods will be punished by the heavens. Along its flanks, the Wulingyuan Glacier, stretching over 7.3 miles, glides down the slope like a silent green dragon, winding past pine forests and shifting between shadow and light. Farther below, great rivers like the Mekong and the Wulingyuan carve through deep valleys, forming a landscape both majestic and sacred. On clear winter mornings, a rare phenomenon called sunlight on the golden summit occurs. The rising sun strikes Kawagibo's peak just so, illuminating it in gold. A moment so rare that many wait a lifetime to witness it. While no one climbs to the top, thousands of pilgrims each year silently walk more than 18 miles. From Meili Temple to the hidden village of Yubang, whispering prayers with every step, carried on the wind with the scent of sandalwood and the gentle chime of wind bells. From watching the sunrise at Wunongding viewing platform at 6:30 a.m. to trekking through forests toward the Wulingyuan Glacier, or sleeping beneath the stars by the sacred waterfall and ice lake. The Meili Mountains are not a destination. They are a reminder of reverence, of humility in the face of something greater than ourselves. In the heart of Hunan province, Wulingyuan rises like a stone city suspended in the clouds. Spanning over 100 square miles, this otherworldly wonder is home to more than 3,100 natural sandstone pillars, each towering between 650 to 2,600 feet. Jutting straight into the mist. From afar, they appear as giant stone spires rising out of nowhere, forming a dreamscape so surreal that reality and illusion blur beyond distinction. In 1992, UNESCO named it a World Natural Heritage Site. not only for its ethereal beauty, but for a geological structure found nowhere else on Earth. Beside these pillars lie primeval forests, ancient and alive, where white waterfalls cascade. Like ribbons from the sky, emerald lakes mirror the cliffs above, and cliffside walkways curve like brushstrokes through the air. At 4,184 feet, the Tianmen Cave, a massive arch carved through the mountain, is known as the Gate to Heaven, where earth and sky seem to kiss beneath the breath of morning mist. To the Tujia people, Wulingyuan is sacred ground, where ancient warriors turned to stone to protect their homeland. Each August, they hold a festival deep in the forest. Fire dances, ancestral music, and corn liquor shared under flickering flames, as if to awaken the spirit of the mountains themselves. Visitors can glide across mountaintops in a 7.5-kilometer-long cable car, walk the glass sky bridge suspended over the abyss, or descend into the 131-meter-deep Tianmen Cave, where sound fades and the cold seeps into your skin like breath from another realm. Some say that around 4,600 feet, electronic signals flicker, and in the thickest fog, shadowy figures silently pass by, as if the mountains are still guarding a secret never meant for humankind. At the northern edge of the Shangri-La Plateau, Mount Haba rises to a height of 17,703 feet, a colossal crystal embedded between sky and earth. Across from it lies Tiger Leaping Gorge, where the Jinsha River roars through a chasm nearly 12,800 feet deep. A titanic scar carved across the Asian continent, forming one of the most dramatic trekking routes in all of Southeast Asia. From the snow-draped summit of Haba, peering down into the gorge below feels like standing between two worlds, one of sky, one of abyss. And Haba is the razor-thin line dividing them. Snow blankets the mountain year-round. When sunlight strikes its flanks, Haba glitters like a mirror suspended above the highlands. At its base lie primeval pine forests, rolling green meadows, and in April, bursts of red rhododendron bloom like fire threading through mist. In the far distance, the Jinsha River churns endlessly, wearing away at stone and bending violently, its echoes crashing against the cliffs like drums from the heavens. To the Naxi people, Haba is not just a mountain. It is the incarnation of a goddess who spread her arms to protect the villages below from disaster. On its slopes, 5 small temples still welcome pilgrims, especially during the Lantern Festival in the 2nd lunar month, when traditional dances and offerings fill the air with a sacred sense of gratitude and reunion. Most travelers spend 2 to 3 days ascending Haba, camping around 9,800 feet and sipping hot yak butter tea in quiet Naxi villages, where the people smile with the warmth of a half-remembered fairy tale. Some say that near the summit an eerie sensation begins to creep in. The feeling of being watched. And at midnight, when the wind slips through the rocks, a distant singing rises faintly from the cliffs, as if another world is watching, not to judge, but simply to bear witness. Stretching over 500 miles across Gansu and Qinghai provinces, the Kilian Mountains unfurl like a white silk ribbon draped across the sky, lined with over 800 snow-capped peaks. Its tallest summit rises to 18,123 feet, earning this range the title of the backbone of the Northwest, a place where the sky meets the steppe, and where every gust of wind seems to carry whispers from the divine. The landscape here is a marriage of contrasts. Icy white peaks gleam with eternal snow, standing beside endless green grasslands where wind ripples across the earth like waves through an ocean of grass. At sunset, Qinghai Lake, 82 feet deep and vast as an inland sea, glows turquoise beneath a sky ablaze with crimson, like a living gemstone breathing between heaven and earth. To the Tibetan people, the Kilian Mountains are more than mountains. They are the dwelling place of gods. Along passes that climb over 13,000 feet, Lungta prayer flags flutter in the wind, carrying blessings for harvests, health, and harmony. Each June, a nomadic festival fills the grasslands with life. Horse races, wrestling matches, mouth harps, and fire dances. A wild, unbound symphony of survival and celebration. Visitors can ride horses across the open plains, capture the sunrise over Qinghai Lake, or camp under skies untouched by city lights, where the stars blaze like a torn open universe. Some say that around 1 a.m., faint flickers of light can be seen from distant peaks, as if the mountain gods themselves are silently making their rounds, watching over a land where ice, grass, and belief intertwine in sacred stillness. Straddling the border between Tibet and Yunnan, Meili Snow Mountain rises to an elevation of 17,814 feet, its rounded summit blanketed in eternal snow. A giant pearl set upon the clouds. Locals call it the crown of the mountains, a place where nature is not only majestic, but shaped like a living legend. Surrounding the peak is a pristine alpine conifer forest spanning over 70 square miles, interlaced with wildflowers blooming along the banks of the Mekong River. A vibrant symphony of emerald, snow white, and petal red. During the rainy season, clouds rise from the depths of the 3,300-foot valley below, coiling like mythical serpents around the slopes, disappearing and reappearing in a veil of mist. At daybreak, when sunlight pierces the thin fog, the forest glows from within. A moment so still, pure, and sacred that no sound feels worthy enough to break it. To the Naxi people, Baima is a sacred mountain where a divine serpent turned to stone to guard the Mekong. Along its slopes, 10 small temples continue to burn with faith. Each year during the Lunar July Rain Festival, ancient chants echo across the mountains, calling for harmony between weather and harvest. Travelers can trek along narrow trails that overlook the Mekong, camp near its shimmering edge, or photograph. Hard to 5,000 blooming rhododendrons at the start of spring. Deep red blossoms like blood-colored stone, blooming in silent defiance amid the mist and cold. At nightfall, some say they've heard the serpent whisper from deep within the forest. A sound no one has ever explained, as if the legend itself is still alive, just not meant for those in a hurry. Bordering Tibet, the Wulingyuan Mountains rise like a sacred wall. 13 towering peaks ranging from 14,764 to over 16,400 feet. Not merely marking a geographic divide, but a threshold between the modern world and a realm of untouched nature. Here, time seems to stand still. Primeval forests, alpine flower valleys, ancient glaciers, and endless skies merge into one of China's most pristine and biodiverse high mountain ecosystems. From above, a 15-kilometer glacier drapes across the mountain flank like a flowing silk scarf. Soft and luminous against gray stone. In May, amid deep green conifer woods, bursts of golden wildflowers bloom in unison. While sunlight filters through sheer clouds, making the entire range appear to breathe, alive, rhythmic, and magical. To the Tibetan people, Wulingyuan is a sacred realm where the snow god dwells, maintaining the balance between earth and sky. Over 200 prayer flags flutter along the ridges, carrying ancient invocations through the wind. 5 old monasteries stand scattered around the range, silent sentinels guarding the sacredness of a land that has never surrendered to time. Travelers can trek across 6 miles of glacier Watch sunrise at 13,000 feet, where clouds and light meet, like an ancient ritual. Or lose themselves in flower valleys, veiled in morning mist, where every step feels like a brush with the divine. Some say that at exactly 11 p.m., a soft green glow flickers from the summit. No one knows if it's a distant star or a whisper from another realm, gently calling the awakened. A frozen crown raised to the wild skies of northwestern China. Amne Machine rises amid 10,000 square kilometers of endless grasslands where the wind never rests, sculpting waves through tall grass and wild horses gallop freely, untouched by civilization. Hidden between the rolling plains are 10 steaming hot springs, bubbling at over 11,500 feet above sea level. Sacred furnaces buried in the earth, where ancient warmth drifts through the icy air, carrying the breath of a world that has never gone silent. To the Tibetan people, Amne Machine is no ordinary peak. It is the second holiest mountain after Kailash, the abode of Ammi Machine, the warrior deity and protector of pilgrims. The Kora, a sacred 112-mile pilgrimage trail, takes 7 days to complete. Each footstep a whispered prayer for purification and release. Along the route, 12 ancient monasteries cling to cliff walls where monks meditate, chant mantras, and burn yak butter lamps that flicker like starlight in stone halls. Visitors come not just to see, but to surrender, to bathe in mountain hot, springs shrouded in mist, to ride horseback across the boundless steppe, or to capture the mountain's reflection at sunset, when ice glows pink and gold, as if the summit has been brushed by the hand of myth itself. At night, the cold settles, so deep it seems to freeze sound itself. Some say they've heard a call from the far peak, echoing like a lone horn lost in the wind. And at exactly 2 a.m., a soft flickering light drifts slowly across the slope. An unexplained phenomenon, as if the sacred realm still watches, still listens, still beats in time with this land's ancient pulse. Today, Amne Machine is both a spiritual epicenter and a haven of ecological preservation, where seekers arrive not just to explore, but to transcend, to hear the voice of silence spoken in snow and wind, to remember what it means to be small and fully alive. Hidden deep within Jiuzhaigou, beyond all known definitions of beauty, lies Jiaru Valley, a secret gem nestled within ancient forest. Here, 5 multicolored lakes ranging from 33 to 165 feet deep rest like ancient mirrors, reflecting sunlight into shifting hues. emerald by morning, violet at noon, crimson at dusk. Surrounding them lies a 720 square kilometer stretch of virgin forest, where 3 waterfalls plunge 100 feet through groves of towering old-growth trees. In autumn, golden leaves fall like rain, mist curls along the lake's surface, and the entire valley becomes a realm that can only be entered through stillness. To the Tibetan people, Jaru is sacred ground. Each lake is called a mountain eye, watching over and protecting life upon the plateau. In the heart of the forest stands Jaru Monastery, over 500 years old, its tiled roof glowing beneath the sun. An unshaken beacon of Tibetan Buddhist faith. Every September, the Water Blessing Festival brings thousands of pilgrims carrying Lungta prayer flags, sandalwood bracelets, and whispered prayers for an abundant harvest, entrusted to the sacred waters. Visitors often hike a 15-kilometer trail circling the lakes, pausing by waterfalls, visiting the ancient temple, and sipping hot yak butter tea under the canopy, not just to see, but to immerse in the living culture of the Tibetan highlands. And when night descends, the lakes turn to obsidian mirrors. Some say they've seen a faint figure drift across the water. Not sure if it was mist or a glimpse of the mountain spirit still keeping watch. Today, Jaru is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and considered the biological heart of Sichuan, home to over 400 rare species. Here, nature, legend, and life are not separate forces, but one eternal rhythm. Some journeys don't end with a period, but with an ellipsis leading into another story. We've just traveled through lands that seemed born from legend, where the murmuring waters of Lijiang's ancient town, the pale moonlight over Five Flower Lake, and the silent stone figures of Longmen grottos whispered to us about a deeper, quieter, yet majestic China. The first part of this journey was an invitation to revisit what we thought we knew through new eyes, eyes that listen and truly see. But beyond that beauty lies another China. A China of ruins cloaked in the dust of forgotten time. Of places that once thrived, now echo only in the wind. That is where we're headed next, into the chapter of extinguished flames, waiting to be rekindled through memory and emotion.